Avadhut Maharaj, happy see you.
Dandavad, very happy everyone. See Dandavad Pranam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I'm very happy to see Rasananda Prabhu dress like his original eternal divine form. And of course, very happy to see my dear friends all here, old people as well as new people. Very happy to see Pavel and Narayani and Braja and all our friends. Ananta Shesh as common guests on our Zooms, and some Russian devotees, some English-speaking devotees. So let's start moving quickly. It was recently the appearance day of Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur is an incredible devotee in Gaur Lila, and he's considered to be one of the Panchatattva. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. So he's considered to be lost. And after him, other devotees are mentioned. So we all know Mahaprabhu is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna himself. Then we know Nityananda Prabhu is expansion of Balaram. He says Balaram and Vrindavan, Mahasankarshan and Vaikunta, and Chaturvyuha, Pradyumna Sankarsana and Niruddha Vasudeva in material world. So basically, all souls, everything controlled by Balaram. But he's Vishwaya Abhiman's Krishna, Seva Abhiman is Balaram. In other words, Krishna is supreme enjoyer, Balaram, Nityananda Prabhu, supreme servitor. So in Gaur Lila, what Nityananda Prabhu is doing is serving Mahaprabhu by breaking all the limitations and giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. Because otherwise, Mahaprabhu is very strict. He's following as ideal perfect devotee, but ideal perfect devotee, as Govinda Maharaj used to say, who can follow Srila Sridhar Maharaj? No one can follow. Therefore, Sridhar Maharaj is alone. So when we will try to go to the highest ideal, then we have to admit, oh, we cannot follow. It's very, very difficult, very inappropriate for us. We're not that kind of people. So let's go back to smoke ganja and drink little vodka and play guitar and believe in Jesus, because Jesus is a savior. So in this case, Nityananda Prabhu is fully replacing Jesus because he's not requiring any other qualification by faith and surrender. These are the two things. However, the next is Advaita Acharya, who's another Prabhu. And his position is super unique because Advaita, he is expansion of Sadashiva and Mahavishnu. Why is it says Sadashiva and Mahavishnu? Because in one way, Sadashiva and Mahavishnu, they're working together towards material reality. Mahavishnu is the source of everything, but nothing material can come from Vishnu. So when Vishnu needs to create virtual reality world, he needs to have a special environment that to be created, which is we're living in virtual reality like world. And it says in the Bhagavad, if someone think he's mortal or someone think this world, this is it, he's just no better than animal. Why he's no better than animal? Because we have to understand, if you live in somebody's website, if you exist in somebody's website, if you exist in somebody's computer game, then you're far away from reality. Maybe this game is very attractive, very artistically made, very naturally made. It feels like reality. You can feel it, you can smell it. But in reality, this is just a computer simulation of the highest level. And the purpose of this computer simulation is to get out of this computer simulation and go back to spiritual reality, to your real home with Krishna. And how long you've been here? Since time immemorial. So Advaita, he's coming to greet Mahaprabhu. He's praying to Mahaprabhu to descend. And he's also a part of very unique special pastimes with Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And very few people can understand what is Advaita's special position, because he's always telling, I'm Haridas, I'm Chaitanya's servant, I'm Chaitanya's servant. And sometimes even playing a particular role to show this, like for instance, coming and speaking, Yoga Vashishta, so that Mahaprabhu can beat him and say, hey, you called me to save all this world. Why are you speaking this nonsense Mayavad philosophy? So there are two purposes in this activity. Number one purpose is to show who Mahaprabhu is. And number two is to say, This impersonal philosophy is so attractive to fallen souls like Buddhism, impersonalism, Mayavad. Almost everybody in America in Mayavad. Actually, most religions are Mayavad. Whether they have personal feature of God, like Christianity, or impersonal feature of God, on the end, it's always ended up with Mayavad. So Mayavad is like Tim Gila, like to swallow this idea that everything comes from nothing. It's such a stupid idea, but believe it or not, conditioned souls will swallow by this philosophy. So therefore, the next one is Gadadhar Pandit, who is considered to be one of the Shakti, but he's Radharani himself, what remained from Radharani, and Srivas Thakur, who is a devotee, which means Swarup Shakti. Although Srivas Thakur is Jiva, but he's still on our altar because he's a very special soul, and that very special soul called Swarup Shakti, the personal energy of the Lord. So there are three aspects: Nara, Narayana, Narottama. Nara is the human, which is full of imperfection. Narayana is the God, full of perfection. And Narottama is human, the soul that relies on God. He becomes Narottama, which is, according to God, on high level, the God worshiping his devotees. So therefore, we're worshiping Srivas Thakur, who appeared to be as a common materialistic man with a family and way of maintaining life and children and brothers and sisters. And he lives in Navadip just like a Grihasta, like most of us, Like today, this morning, we had some Mexican devotees came, Latin American devotees came from Florida to us. They're like, 3 children and wife and husband. And like all day, they're just trying to catch children, do this, do that. It's just like, it sounds like almost impossible to, meditate. And also, you also have to, feed these children, give them like clothes, give them education, work, also work like hours and hours a day. So I was looking at this family and I thought, well, this is like, oh my God, how can this woman manage these 3 children? But, they're very devotional devotees, very nice. But so Srivas Thakur appeared to be this kind of man who's kind of fell into the misery of family life, because family life, nothing but misery, because the sexual pleasure, which we're all seeking for, it's a moment. And the price for that is like you have to, for that sexual pleasure that everybody's seeking, then you pretty much have to become a slave of your children, slave of society, you have to do the work. And the end of the story is when you get older and you get retired, your children drop you, and then they decide, should they give you to nursing home or should they dump you somewhere, or how you will end your days. But believe it or not, the family life is a great school to learn devotion, because your children pissing on you, they're not, you don't expect anything from your children, just you want them to be happy. Just like Krishna, you have to worship them 24 hours a day. So when somebody is living selfish, egoistic life, when he's coming through suffering of family life, then there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to tolerate. And you tolerate from those that you love. So as you can understand, the way Krishna creates family in the material world is for people to realize their responsibility and service. So it's like a yoga. You can almost say family life is like yoga, but very difficult to remember Krishna. Therefore, Srivas Thakur is showing how you can be a perfect Vaishnava even in family life. And that means you're fully dedicated to Krishna, and you're, try to convert your house into the place of Krishna, so that Mahaprabhu would start his kirtan in Srivas Thakur house. It's interesting that origin of Srivas Thakur is Narada. So the divine personality. And not that much we know from Srivas Thakur, but except one book is called Sri Chaitanya Prema Vilas. There are some stories mentioned about Srivas Thakur separately. Otherwise, Srivas Thakur mainly mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangala, Chaitanya Charitamrita, but not so much, except the important parts of revelation of Mahaprabhu in his house, or during the kirtan, Srivas Thakur's son is dying, and Mahaprabhu stopping the kirtan, and Srivas Thakur showing how much he attached to Mahaprabhu and how much he detached from his material family, because losing someone that you love, especially your son, is the most horrible thing you can ever have in life. But for that purpose, Srivas Thakur doesn't even want to stop Mahaprabhu. And he could have said, he knows Mahaprabhu God. He should say, save my son. That's what the Brahman did in Mahabharata. He asked Krishna, and Balarama, Sandipani Muni. He said, well, if you can save my son, my wife is asking, can you save my son? And they did that. So Mahaprabhu could easier would regain the life of the son of Srivas Thakur. But when son of Srivas Thakur died during the kirtan, and that's our wish, we all want to die during the kirtan, leave our physical body during the kirtan. He enters back spiritual world. And Mahaprabhu said to that dead boy, come back and speak. So for the moment, he came back to his physical body and he started speaking that I'm so fortunate after so many lives to be able to witness your great Sankirtan, to be born as son of Srivas Thakur and have your divine darshan. Many amazing stories, like one of the stories when Srivas Thakur were running from the Muslim invaders and he was by the bank of Ganga and he couldn't save his family because they would drown. There were wife and two small children. Then he started praying to Supreme Lord, and finally the boatman came. And that boatman, Srivas appeared to him. He said, please, don't be afraid. There's fire and murder going on just very near us, but please save us and I'll be your slave. I have nothing to pay you. Just save me. And Mahaprabhu said, that was me, Srivas, that I took the form of the boatman. I heard your prayers and I saved you. So whatever the sincere devotee, pray to Lord. Lord is always protect his devotee. That's one of the Lord's famous quality, his Bhakta Vatsalya. He never give up all his devotees. And this is the quality of the Lord. So Lord is serving his devotee. It appeared to be the devotee serving Lord, but actually Lord is reciprocate. And he's saying Bhagavad Gita, if you make a step towards me, I will give you 1,000 steps towards you. But it has to be true and has to be sincere. And devotees never like to exploit the mercy of the Lord. So devotees never thinking, I need anything. No, I don't need anything. I just need your mercy. I just need your service. So Shiva is showing that thing. He's not asking Mahaprabhu, oh, you God, please save my son. No, Mahaprabhu himself revealing the position of the soul and telling how fortunate that soul is to be born in Srivas Thakur's home. And then later, Srivas Thakur playing drama, and everybody's amazed. He looked like just Narada because he's playing Narada, but he is Narada. And interestingly, Narada been cursed by Brahma that he will never stay in one place and he never have family life. But so then you say, how is that Srivas Thakur in his next life become Mahaprabhu associate and become full-fledged Grihastha? So that is very interesting because in Vrindavan, there's Narada Kunda, where Narada wrote all the holy scriptures, including Pancharatra. Narada Pancharatra is a famous book by Narada. It's explaining how simple people can be liberated by follow the rules of the service. Because there are different types of tantric Vedic worship, but they're all considered some qualifications and understanding. So they're very scientific. But Pancharatra is something very simple, which we're using in our arati in the process of worship. So we are doing worship according to Pancharatra, which is a very simple but very powerful yogic process of deity worship and offering, etc. So that is the Bhakti Yoga. It's the highest of the yoga written by Narada. And Narada written that book in Vrindavan or Navadvip, because Navadvip and Vrindavan the same. Although Narada wrote that book, he needed to stay some time in Vrindavan, but he was cursed by Brahma and he could not stay in one place. He always had to travel. However, in Vrindavan, curse of Brahmana doesn't work, of Brahma. So therefore, Narada, by going to Kushum Sarovar, accept female body. He fully experienced the Madhurya Rasa with Krishna, and also doing meditation on that pastimes of Lord Krishna and doing that tapasya in Vrindavan on the bank of Narada Kunda. He wrote some wonderful books. So when we are talking about Narada, stay in next life as Srivas Thakur, remember, Navadip Dham is considered to be divine. So whatever the curse of Narada Muni, outside of Vrindavan and Navadip, yes, he has to follow and always travel and always preach. But inside Vrindavan or Navadip, his activity is different. So he's coming as a Grihastha householder, which is quite interesting because in his original position, he's not supposed to have a family. But remember, also, he's not just having a family as mundane people. He has spiritual family, and even his own son are liberated by Mahaprabhu. So there are so many unique qualities of Srivas Thakur we can discover it. And mainly we can find them in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Mangal, and little by little we can get some details, but it's not so much generally spoke about Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Thakur because they're two mysteries. But devotees who knows the truth, they understand, why Srivas Thakur is in Panchatattva, why he's on our altar. Why do we worship God? We understand, but that devotee is worshipable as God, that's very difficult to understand. So when people say God, that's a very primarily statement, but devotee of God, that is very specific statement. And then we also have to identify who is true devotee, who is that devotee, what quality he should have, what is to be a devotee like. So then we have to study the life of great devotees such as Srivas Thakur and other associates of Mahaprabhu. And we see even that if they're family people, if they're appear to be, materialist externally, then internally we can understand they have all the lakshanas, they have all the great qualities. And one of their main qualities is compassion. So Srivas Thakur, a very compassionate person. And when somebody cursed him, tried to, there were some people who were not allowed to kirtan of Mahaprabhu. And one Brahmana came and he said, "Hey, I'm only drinking milk. I'm such a pure guy. Why don't you let me incite Mahaprabhu kirtan in your house?" Then Srivas said very humbly, "Okay, I will ask Mahaprabhu." So he came to Mahaprabhu and he said, "There's one very pure Brahmana who doing all the rituals and rules, and he's asking to enter your kirtan." And Mahaprabhu says, "So what's his definition of his purity?" "Oh, he's just drinking milk." And he followed all the Vedic rules. He said, "That is not definition of my kirtan. My kirtan is definition of full devotion to Krishna and surrender. Only one who has that qualities can enter my kirtan." And that was Mahaprabhu had his kirtan behind closed doors in Shiva Sangha. So you can imagine how much the people that were jealous to Srivas Thakur was some hardcore materialists. They were speaking some, "Oh, they're always drunk, they take drugs, they have just group sex. Otherwise, why they're screaming from his house? Why from the house so much music at night coming? This kirtan is, I don't think anybody can sing these songs without taking drugs. This Gauranga and Shivas and all these friends, they completely intoxicated. Otherwise, why they're singing all night? Why they crying? Why they screaming? Why they have this amazing thing?" It's just like, disco. When you hear the disco music, you think, yes, disco music going on. So everybody must be there like on drugs and alcohol. But that's what material people thinking, but they cannot even understand Mahaprabhu drinking the nectar of holy name of his own. They're all chanting Hare Krishna, they go mad, and they're screaming, and they're running on the floor, and they're doing divine kirtan, and they're just enjoying this in a very small group. And Srivas is the one who provides this experience. Why? Because he's a devotee. Remember, it's not Hare Krishna. Remember, Hare Krishna is not really new for Srivas Thakur. It is really new for Mahaprabhu. Srivas Thakur always chants Krishna name as Narada, but Mahaprabhu, he's crazy, he's overwhelmed with ecstasy. So Srivas Thakur in this case are even more expertly kind of leading Mahaprabhu towards Krishna Kirtan, and that is amazing. So you would think, oh, Mahaprabhu is doing his Kirtan. Yes, he's doing, but within presence of Srivas Thakur. So one time they felt there is no rasa, there is no nectar. And Mahaprabhu said, well, there must be some materialist hiding in your house. And everybody looked at themselves. And Advaita, Shivas, and all the devotees said, I'm that materialist. I'm that low quality person. Maybe I should get out of Kirtan. Mahaprabhu said, no, not you. You guys all okay. And he started searching Shiva's house, and he found his mother-in-law hiding in the basket, covering herself, like when you throw the clothes that need to be washed, so that his mother-in-law, she hid in the house in the basket, and she wants to hear the Kirtan. But she was not allowed. So just imagine, like, Srivas Thakur wouldn't allow his own mother-in-law to visit the Kirtan. So she thought, like, hey, I'm like your mother-in-law. I'm like mother of your wife. Why can't you allow me to Kirtan? But Mahaprabhu said, no, this is not Kirtan that general public can hear. This is Rasa Kirtan. You must have some extraordinary heart qualities to be able to hear that type of Kirtan. If you hear that type of Kirtan without devotion, there's like you will make an offense. So for your own protection, don't come here. But she wants to hear. She's anxious to hear. And he found her and dragging and throw her out of house. And then everybody feel the joy. So that means real Kirtan, you have to have taste of holy name. Without true spiritual taste of holy name, you will not experience the nectar of holy name. So Srivas Thakur is always experiencing the nectar of holy name, and as well as when, some people asking him, like, Mahaprabhu associates, Srivas, it seems like you're living like Hare Krishna. You are a family man. Every family man is supposed to have stock of rice, dal. Family man is supposed to have some money. But you're living like sadhu. You're not having anything. You're not saving anything. How will you live like that? How you can maintain family without being like having savings and planning things ahead of time? It sounds like you're not thinking about your family. What do you think? And Shiva said, this is 3 clubs. If I don't eat first day, I fast, I pray to Krishna. If I don't eat second day, I pray to Krishna. If I don't eat third day, I just drown myself in Ganga. I don't have to think about material things. From one point of view, you would say, well, Krishna will provide to his pure devotee, and, should we think like Srivas Thakur? But the question is, he was prepared to fast for 3 days and then commit suicide. Why? Because his mood is like this. If I'm Lord's servant, Lord is maintain his servant. But if for some reason Lord is not happy with me, what's the point of life? What's the point of life? So that is not exploitive thinking, like people thinking, okay, let God do work for me and I do nothing. No. This is actually opposite. It's the thinking of pure devotee. I purely maintain by Lord, and if Lord is a Mari Krishna Rakike, Rami Krishna Marike, if Krishna save you, nobody will kill you. If Krishna kills you, nobody will save you. So it's a very famous saying. So it's just like, if Krishna willing to maintain me and give me mercy, I will go on. If Krishna is not, then what's the purpose of life? What is the purpose of life? So Srivas Thakur many times showing there's no purpose of life until you are fully surrendered to Krishna. And just like I've said, being Narada in spiritual world, having so many stories, and one of the stories is coming to Vaikuntha and meeting Vishnu, and Vishnu is very happy with him and asking, what can I do, my sage, for you? And Narada said, just one thing, please give me one thing. Give me some of your Mahaprasad. That's all devotees want. He wants Mahaprasad, a little bit, just a test. I've heard so many devotees in Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Devi serving you with a great, elaborate mood of service, and I'd like to take a little bit from your plate. Then Narada said, I'm sorry, you're asking wrong person. You are wrong person, yes, because I'm not in charge of my own prasad. The God is not in charge of his own prasad. My prasad is what been offered to me is taken by Lakshmi Devi and other devotees, and that has become Mahaprasad. And that is in charge of Lakshmi Devi and other devotees. Only one who's fortunate that will receive that. So after I take prasad, I share that prasad with all my devotees, and that remnants become even more powerful because they're relished by devotees. So that is Mahaprasad, not in my thing. Prasad, okay, but Mahaprasad is it's something more difficult. It's something that tasted by devotees after I enjoy that. And that even myself, I will relish when I become Gauranga Chaitanya. So then the beginning of the story comes that Lakshmi finally come to Narada and say, my dear sage, because you are a devotee, I'm sharing that Mahaprasad with you. You can also relish it. Then Narada become crazy. He going to Vaikuntha, from Vaikuntha to Kailas, and finally see Lord Shiva. And because he is madman dancing, he can't even understand how he discovered himself by Kailas, but everything is, will. So Lord Shiva is also a great devotee and receiving Narada and saying, hey, Narada Ji, I'm so happy to see you. I got tired of all these yogis and all these ghosts and all these, people that I'm dealing with, because all of them, they're my students of yoga, but they're not really I'm not excited about them. I'm excited about you. Tell me what's up, what's the story, where have you been? And Narada ecstatically sharing, and he said, I think have you taken any drugs? Have you smoked anything? Because my followers always like to smoke or take drugs, and because they want to kill the pain of this material world. But Narada said, no, devotee does not need drug. I just took some Mahaprasad. And he said, you have anything for me? A little piece I have, I can give it to you. So Shiva taking prasad, together of them screaming, dancing, crying. Then suddenly Parvati is coming. He said, oh my boys, what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, sorry, Devi, we're just enjoying Mahaprasadam. And the Devi said, and you're not giving anything to me? And Shiva said, I'm sorry, Narada had just one little piece, and as soon as I tried this piece, I become mad. It was just accidentally. Well, of course, we want to give you prasad, but the thing is, we don't have it. Then Devi said, she's Yogamaya, and she's Mahamaya. She said, as Mahamaya, I'm controlling every living being through sexual power and the power of material attachment. But as Yogamaya, I'm a pure servant of Vishnu. And I'm like a mother, I'm giving children the toys, but really my position is to give children something what is valuable, not what they're asking. So if I would get the mercy of Vishnu, I would share Mahaprasadam with all my children, with everyone in this universe. Then Lord Vishnu appeared in Narayana and said, hey, Devi, I'm so happy. This is why Narada had been sent to me by Vaikuntha, from Vaikuntha to Kailas. And here's my blessing. Because you have such a great, beautiful female, loving heart, like mother of all the devotees. I'm giving that special blessing. When I come to Lord, as Lord Jagannath, I will be relishing prasadam from my devotees. And what will be relished by me will be offered to you, and that will become Maha Prasadam, and that will be distributed. So at Jagannath Puri, if you think, oh, I take Jagannath Prasad, and you say Mahaprasad, they tell, no, you take Jagannath Prasad. Mahaprasad is very special prasadam that offered by Bimala Devi. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur called his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the future, Bimal Prasad. Why? Because Bimala Devi, through her pure devotees, distributing that mercy to everyone. And Lord Narayana at that time revealed his confidential secret. He said, I will come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I will come to Jagannath Puri, and I will be crying and dancing in front of Jagannath, and I will test Jagannath Prasadam, and that Mahaprasadam of mine will be distributed in the form of holy names of Krishna. And that will be distributed by my pure devotees. So you can understand from millions of years, the stories of Vedas and Puranas, they all end up in catharsis. Catharsis means Mahaprabhu. Catharsis means Narada comes as Shivas, Balaram comes as Nityananda, Mahavishnu comes as Advaita. And what do? They chant and dance, and they open the doors of Goloka Vrindavan through Navadvip to such fallen souls like us. So Anarpita Charam Charit Karunya Avataram. There was never avatar as merciful. In fact, one of the great poets, they say, what is other avatars did? Okay, Matsya, Kurma, all other avatars, Parashurama, okay, they've done something great, but nothing close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although his hidden avatar, Guhya avatar, what his gift to the world is beyond comprehension. So at this very point, I'm very sorry that with my very weak mind and skill set, I was able to glorify a little bit of incredible devotees such as Srivas Thakur. And actually, who am I to speak about such a great devotee? Like, like little frog, quah, quah, but the power of glorification of devotee is such that the joy of glorification of devotee will come to your heart and will purify the filthy heart. So we have filthy hearts with full of greed, lust, envy, and mainly like craziness. Everybody's crazy. Why crazy? Because a crazy person, sometimes you go and see the homeless people, they're looking for garbage dumps. And, they find things in garbage dumps and they're happy, or they don't find something, they cry. And you think, what are they looking for? What are they looking for? And you will just realize by looking at a dumpage garb, like searching. That's like, some people do shopping, or they go to internet, they're searching some news. They want to find something in YouTube, but really they're just wasting hours and hours of their life because they're same news, same bullshit, same stupid entertainment. So that is called craziness, divine madness. Souls are crazy in this world. They're not looking for prasadam. They're not looking for nectar of immortality. They're looking for some stupid things. And why they're looking at stupid things? Because they don't have a taste. So hearing about Krishna, hearing about Mahaprabhu, hearing about all these incredible devotees, with faith, with belief, faith must be there. Make you move towards step of self-sacrifice. When you tell to the Lord, I'm yours. I no longer belong to this world. I no longer belong to myself. I've been my own servitor of my own senses. I've been slave of my own low senses. I've been trying to please my own ego by being perceiving by people, I'm a great, I'm this, I'm that. But really, I'm just been a slave. I've been a slave of Maya. Please engage me to service of your holy devotees. If I can serve your devotees, then I can please you. And then Lord will say, I'm very happy with you. Okay, yes, I consider you serious. And I consider your start your spiritual life. Therefore, Krishna says, Yeme Bhakta Jana Partha. I don't believe who's Hare Krishna. Krishna actually says, Hare Krishnas, I don't believe them. Some people, sometimes when I come on ISKCON and they do, Haribol, I say, well, it looks like a show, nice show, but I don't believe it. I don't buy it. And they're neophyte devotees. They say, why? Well, because you have to understand, Hare Krishna is not a show. Hare Krishna is something that connects with truth. So surrender to Prabhupada. Yes, there's some element of truth. But if you just show me, oh, look, I'm dressed like devotee, I can move like devotee, I can dance like devotee. Yes, that's true. All this comes from devotees. But externally look devotee and be internally devotee is two different things. So Sridhar Maharaj explained, he said, real devotee, he exists in negative consciousness, not positive consciousness. Think of this. The stories that I'm telling you have been partially recorded by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who was about 97 years old when he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita. And why did he write Chaitanya Charitamrita? Because everybody told him, look, you already wrote Govinda Lilamritam, you're a great poet. And you heard all the lectures of Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami was Mahaprabhu's close associates who had super extreme level of Krishna consciousness. You won't believe such a austere person like Raghunath Das Goswami, but if you read his books about Krishna pastimes, they're full of fun, they're full of joy, they're full of vulgar jokes. So you can't believe like somebody who doesn't eat, who doesn't sleep, can sit down and describe such a funny pastimes of Krishna and Mahaprabhu. And, just giving those talks to devotees, channeling spiritual world, remembering pastimes of Mahaprabhu, and knowing what a Kadach is, what is the work of Swarup Damodar, what's the work of other great Vaishnava saints who are very close to Mahaprabhu, his secretary and associates. Because remember, that's all been given to Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami inherited this stuff. But Raghunath Das Goswami, he's with Rupa Goswami, but he's in a very high stage, and they're speaking. So, and also Jiva Goswami later speaking on philosophy, but really it's all coming from them. So Krishnadas Kaviraj were like carefully hearing and write some of these things. And by the age of 97, where he was supposed to almost die, maybe he actually died shortly after Chaitanya Chaitanya, not die, left the world. He's been asked by Vaishnavas to write everything he knew about Mahaprabhu. So you say, why is that him? Well, I can tell you, in Russia, very popular French cognac, or pu'er, the Chinese tea. It has to be fermented and stay for a long time. And as longer it stays, it's more powerful it becomes. Or like a ghee, medical ghee. It's more that's hidden underground, it's more power it has. So think of this. He's not giving his perception on beginning of his spiritual life. He's actually giving his whole wealth by end of his spiritual life. And by that meditation, he's setting up his journey to spiritual world, but at the same time, it's very red fruit. It's very deep what he has. So therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj said, I can barely see, I can barely walk. My voice choke, I'm 90-something years old, and I know I can die at any moment. So in these conditions, I have to go ask the blessing of Modan Mohan Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami already by that time was gone. So he's coming to Sanatan Goswami Modan Mohan temple. And believe it or not, praying, and the garland fell from Mohan Mohan. That means, yes, you got my blessing. Then he's very sincerely thinking he sees some unique dream where Mohan Mohan telling to Krishnadas Kaviraj, you should be writing this, but remember, I will write it through you. Just like Arjun had to fight, and I use him, I will also, you, don't worry how old you are, don't worry that you have blind, don't worry everything. Just become my instrument, and I will give you the whole credit, and I will use your divine body because your body is mine. That's what Mahaprabhu said to Rupa Goswami. Your body is mine. When Sanatan wants to commit suicide, and he said, Lord, I'm so fallen. I don't want to live in this, fallen life. I should commit suicide. The Mahaprabhu said, no. Don't think you're under your own control. Your body belongs to me. You're my divine slave. You will do as I want you to do because I brought you to this world to liberate billions of souls. And I give you the credit that I do it through you. So as you understand, Krishnadas Kaviraj had very humble, very sweet nature. He said, I'm worse than worm on a stool. Anybody will hear my name will be contaminated. And he took poetry of Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur and some other materials from all the great Vaishnavas and put together the most powerful book ever done in the whole world called Chaitanya Charitamrita, the most powerful book. And using the Murari Gupta's Chaitanya Charita and using Swarup Damodar materials, using lectures of Raghunath Das Goswami, using Rupa Goswami stuff, using all the best, by Krishna himself, by Modan Mohan, revealing to the world the most powerful book ever written in the history of humankind, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So those of you, such as Paul, who will constantly read Chaitanya Charitamrita with faith, will definitely achieve mercy of lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. When Rupa and Sanatan knew they want to become Vaishnavas, they called, they met with Mahaprabhu in Ramakere. And first they wrote a letter to Mahaprabhu saying, we're so fallen, we're ministers, we're involved in government of Hussein Shah, who's a Muslim. And, we're basically materialists. Although at that time, they've been nourishing 1,500 brahmanas. Every day they would, since morning earlier, practice Srimad Bhagavatam, an association of pure brahmanas, and build the whole Brahmana village to protect the Vedic culture from the Muslims. That's why they agreed to become the governors of Hussein Shah. Still, to Mahaprabhu, they appear as a very humble man. And Mahaprabhu said, when the wife has lover, she's acting as she followed the duty. Why Mahaprabhu said that? Because she said, look, you are acting as ministers of this Blecha king who's very dangerous, who's actually Kamsa incarnation, then you should understand the king also getting mercy, my mercy through you. And king right now is your boss, but I know what you want. So when I be ready with my pastimes, I call you. But right now, just act in good favor of king. And when things will be happen, you will think of me as your beloved. So a very beautiful letter he wrote. And Rupa and Sanatan crying, reading this letter, saying, yes, Lord has not give up on us. One day when the Lord will inquire us, we'll give up everything and we'll complete service to him. And that's what we need to be doing, for total surrender, total absolute surrender. That's not easy, Rupe Brahmanya Brahmate Kon Bhagavan Jiv, because mind is very powerful and our mind is very weak. But hearing from Vaishnava, hearing Chaitanya Charitamrita, hearing the instructions of Guru Vaishnava, thinking about lotus feet of Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and of course, through our own Guru Varga, Guru Maharaj, Guru Dev, we should pray one day, just like Rupa and Sanatan, please one day liberate me from this wretched life. And one day give me pure nectar of drinking mercy of your devotees. But therefore Krishna say, okay, I consider you serious if you start service my devotees. If you're just serving Krishna, you might have so many apparat. You're not qualified to serve Krishna. But service is devotee more powerful than service of Krishna. Because I'm as a Krishna, as Mahaprabhu myself, coming as a devotee. So this is a hidden, secret way of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sampradaya, through service of devotees, through a hearing of Mahaprabhu. It's a shortcut to achieve lotus feet of Krishna, which is unachievable, actually. It's unachievable. So not easy, impossible to achieve Krishna. Even Lord himself said, that is not possible. But for one who worship my devotees, impossible become possible. So I had some trouble in my life, and I spoke with one of my Brahmana friends from South India, and he told me some upayas. I said, I've done something wrong. What should I do? And he said, to offend Vaishnava, you have to serve Vaishnava. If you criticize Vaishnava, you have to serve Vaishnava. That's the only way to remove it, this dosha. Because sometimes we criticize devotees, and in order to remove that dosha means that trouble, we have to serve Vaishnava. But he also said, like, yes, and there are few things like Mahaprabhu come in the form of Vaishnav, and also Giriraj Govardhan, Haridas Savaryam. Giriraj Govardhan, he is Krishna, but he's also more than Krishna because he is appear in the form of Vaishnava, so he's able to give devotion. Krishna is not giving devotion. Krishna is receiving devotion. The devotion giver is Vaishnava. And then sometimes even Krishna himself take form of Vaishnava as Mahaprabhu, Srivas Thakur, special energy of Supreme Lord, or Giriraj Govardhan, or Gurudev, So it's important for us to remember that they're the givers of devotions, not Krishna, not Radharani. So everybody say, oh, Radhe Radhe, Haribol, Hare Krishna. That is superficial. That's for, as Srila Guru Maharaj said, shallow thinkers who don't understand the intrinsic nature of God, but who do appreciate nature of God. They're looking for connection with devotee, not just connection with devotee. Okay, everybody have guru, so let me, pick up some great Vaishnava, put in my altar picture, and I will enjoy with that. That is not the mood of of the real Goswamis of Vrindavan and our gurus. No, they're thinking, I pray, I hope one day my Gurudev will engage me in service. And before this has happened, I have to train myself every day. Every day I will read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Every day I will pray to Lord and devotees to save my fallen soul. And when that time will come, etam sapastayam paratmanishtam apushitam purnatvaye maharshiviti shandurishyami durantaparam tamamukundan grinisheveva. And when that day come, I will give up everything and I will fully serve Mukunda, the Lord who can liberate everyone, by follow the footsteps of great Vaishnavas. And great Vaishnavas show us extreme, tolerance, extreme dedication. They accept poverty. They accept so many troubles, and they've been showing us full self-sacrifice. Of course, we cannot copy that. That is not possible to copy. If I will come to Vrindavan tomorrow and live in the caves or sleep under trees, as Indians do because they have that body, I will not gonna sustain more because, there was one funny story. I'll tell you one funny story on the end of the story. So there was Sakicharan Das Babaji Maharaj, who was very wealthy. He was young days working as a salt mine manager with one British gentleman. When the British got kicked out of India, this gentleman who owned the salt, very wealthy, he said, "You've been my good manager, here's the deal. Now we're leaving India, we're kicked out of India. I want to sell you that business. I know you have no money, but I know you're a very good manager, you're going to pay me. So I'm selling you this business for pennies. But, send that money to me or whatever the deal is." And he accepted the deal. So he became very wealthy, just like this British gentleman who started a salt business. He used to be sold British stocks. So Sakicharan Das Babaji, he was giving large donations to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And at the time, he was not Babaji. So when he became old and give business to his family, he actually bought Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat land for Sridhar Maharaj because Sridhar Maharaj had no money. And he brought electricity to Navadvip. He paid for electric line to Navadvip. And, he's done many big service. So, giving money to temples and building temples, and very, very pious man. But he wants to be, rest of his life as Babaji. He doesn't want to be attached to anything material. So he asked Guru Maharaj, "Can I come stay with you? I want to be Babaji. I want to stay with you." And the Guru Maharaj said, "Yes, you can try." So he came to Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, and he tried to stay with Guru Maharaj. But because all his life, he had big business, wealthy man, family, some servants, he couldn't stay with Guru Maharaj. He accepted Babaji, he chant holy name, but after some time he said, I cannot tolerate mosquitoes, I cannot tolerate hunger, I cannot tolerate this very bad latrine bathroom, I cannot tolerate that I have to go, take bath in Ganga when it's cold, because you have nothing here. Guru Maharaj said, yes. And I understand, you're different nature. You're used to a nice house, used to this. Okay, here's what you do. You go back to your family. I mean, you have some land. There you can build yourself small bhajan kutir where you stay and chant. And you come and stay with me time to time. Don't stay with me full time. Full time you cannot tolerate. But time to time, Guru Purnima time, festival time, you can come and stay. And full time you can have that experience. And Babaji Maharaj was very happy because Guru Maharaj did not deny him. He admits, I'm a very wealthy man background. I cannot do like a sadhu. But I like to become a sadhu. Then Guru Maharaj said, no, as you can arrange yourself, your life, that's fine. As long as you're going with Harikatha, Krishna Kirtan, and on special days you come to me. And we will enjoy this Harikatha and Kirtan, and we'll give you inspiration. So anyway, I want to thank you everyone for visiting this beautiful program. And I see that your faces are happy and everybody's internally thinking, when Kabe Gauravani Shurat Unitate Aradhya Krishna Bole, when that day comes, when I will surrender to Krishna, when that comes, when I will give up all my material attachments and my fear and my greed. And Krishna is Abhay. He will destroy fear in your heart as you surrender to Krishna. So in order to surrender to Krishna, we need to have that association. And I want to thank you so much, because without your association, I'm also fallen soul. Don't think I'm some kind of a very high soul, or like big guru. I'm none of that. I know who Govinda Maharaj is. I go who Guru Maharaj is. I know I'm like very small, little frog who's just like repeating what I've heard, and what I've heard is not what I've realized, but it helps me to realize these things. It helps me to, seeing your gracious faces with appreciation, that gives me the hope that one day Mahaprabhu and Krishna will bestow mercy upon me, and one day I will surrender to them. Not that I didn't try, You have to understand, it's not like, oh, once you surrender and that's it. Yes, Krishna say, once you surrender, I accept you. But remember, surrender at everyday moment, at every day's life. That's why going through all the difficulties is only one purpose for you to surrender. There's no other difference. So one part of Srimad Bhagavatam called Ashraya, surrender. So if you read Prabhupada Jivanamrita, you see the great kings or the great animals or the great devotees at different parts of their life, mostly under pressure of external circumstance, they surrender. And that moment of surrender is the real click where this will start working. But unless you surrender to devotee, unless you surrender to Vaishnava, you cannot surrender to Krishna. You will not be accepted. Because Krishna is not stupid. If you not appreciate my servitors, if you're not serving my servitors, why do I have to give you mercy? That means you're still an ego. You want to have direct connection with me. So then we never aspire for direct connections. Like I was very happy to be disciple of Srila Govinda Maharaj. I know when I be ready, Govinda Maharaj will take me to Guru Maharaj. I knew that. I like Guru Maharaj. I appreciate Guru Maharaj. He's the highest of Vaishnavas, but I'm not that leak. That's why I've said to Goswami Maharaj, I know you're fortunate that you met Guru Maharaj and you've done so much wonderful books and service for him. But as far as me, I haven't got that from, I met my guru, I made connection, and then through my guru, I discovered Srila Guru Maharaj. So my discovery of that spiritual reality was through lotus feet of my guru, and I will be eternally grateful to him. And I don't think I'm like qualified to go to Rupa or Raghunath or Krishnadas Kaviraj. We're not qualified. We are just, as Guru Maharaj say, candidates. We're candidates to Krishna consciousness, and Krishna will carefully choose candidate. Krishna does not like unripe fruit. But how do we get rape? How do we get mature? Through serving devotees, through connecting with devotees, through hearing and chanting, through follow the sadhana, follow, daily life principles of Krishna consciousness, trying to regulate our, sensual life, and try to engage ourselves in service of Guru and Vaishnavas, including, actually, very important, to hear from devotees. So therefore, we have many archives of Chaitanya Saraswat Math, especially in Russian, with Russian translation of Sridhar Maharaj. We have also English-speaking media. So all of it will be very good for us to explore and read as we can daily, maybe an hour or 2 hours as we can. Or like when we travel, we can listen. I like to listen stuff. I don't have time to read so much. And believe it or not, it's a good time to do it in the morning. So early in the morning, wake up and give your, it's actually 4 hours. Our sadhana must be 4 hours, concluding taking snan, eating breakfast, that means offer to Krishna. So in 4 hours time, if we wake up, let's say 6 o'clock in the morning, then by, 9 o'clock, something like that, we can complete our stuff. And, depending which time you're working or you're not working. But the morning time is the best. So, wake up early, maybe 4 or 5, do our spiritual sadhana, read the books, pray, be with yourself. And later in the day, think about what you heard, like process, not just, okay, now I'm unplugged. Think every day, man mana bhava mar bhakto. But you have to charge your tank, just like when you wake up in the morning, you drink a lot of water, which charges your system. So you take a shower, which is purify you physically, but you can take spiritual snan. You should chant names of Krishna and Mahaprabhu when you purify yourself. And then gradually offer your obeisances to Guru Varga, lighting a candle or lighting an incense, offering a flower, and to the book, to Vaishnava, to, carefully in attentive seat and sometimes hearing from book or reading the book. That will give you, and then do chanting, that will give you very big power and belief. And that's called sadhana. So there's sadhana seed here that will bear the fruit in time. And that is one part. And second part is time to time go to see Vaishnava, the deity, serve and, bring something to temple, flowers, some, food, donation to be part of that, Sankirtan. And appreciate other devotees, whether they're young or small, whether they're big or it doesn't really matter. You have to appreciate everybody because that is called Vaishnavism, just like Krishna appreciate us. We have nothing to be appreciated for, but Krishna appreciated us, or like our gurus. Why they give us holy name? Why they give us everything? Not because we're so great, just because they're so merciful. So then we have to think, okay, maybe they're not perfect, but you know what? I'm worse than everybody. Maybe they're young, but I'm not even initiated. They're initiated. Maybe I'm more intellectual, but these people without any brain, intellect, they're already doing service. Then how fortunate they are, and how much fortunate I am to be connected with them. And by Krishna's fortune, I will be more fortunate by seeing that. That's why I always tell to devotees, there are some people who fight over temples. Oh, I want to have position. I want to be recognized. I want I want to do this, that. That is very, very inappropriate way to join spiritual life. But unfortunately, we're materialists. Some of our temples are very new, so there's no sadhus. We have to become sadhus. That is very not easy, because at least one sadhu must be there. Like Govinda Maharaj used to say, yes, if there's one sadhu at least, then around that sadhu something can be built. So we have to get there, and through sadhu sangha, we have to get that qualities and become devotees of that type and grow ourselves. So thank you for giving an opportunity for me to speak. I will switch into Russian within 5 minutes to Telegram, because it's our English-speaking program. I'm trying to keep my English program consistent, maybe once or a couple times a week. I will be speaking in Russian right after that. I have no problem of switching from one to another, but I know some people are comfortable to hear in English, and some people are more comfortable to hear in Russian. For those who's Russian speaker, it's good to learn English. For those who English speaking, it's good to connect on that level. I see Maria, she's constantly hearing us. She's a very nice person, and she's in transition period, her life transition. And also we have devotees like this who's in transition. So yeah, you should not worry. When Krishna will conquer your heart, there's not going to be chance of transition. Once Krishna conquer your heart, you will lose all the fear, you'll just go on. So keep reading and hearing and associating with devotees, and Krishna will grace you for sure. I believe it. I've got that mercy. Why not somebody else? I'm also very happy to see Paul, and he's a extraordinary being, soul, not first life. He's connected with this ultimate truth, but so many great rishis and munis, they connect with Krishna consciousness, because Krishna consciousness is something so unique. Even you can see Narada Muni and Lord Brahma, they're amazed by that. So what to speak about us? So in this life that we got connection with Mahaprabhu, maybe in previous lives Lord Brahma never lived in India and worshipped Narayana, that's fine. But connecting with Mahaprabhu movement is not a simple thing. So everybody who are hearing about Mahaprabhu and born in this Kali Yuga and this specific time are super fortunate souls. So let's not lose our fortune over some stupid things. And what are the stupid things? Ego, enjoyment, there's only according to Prahlad Maharaj, he said, there's only few enemies we have, and they're not outside, they're within. Madness, greed, lust, these are our true enemies. All any other enemies, they're just pushing us towards Krishna consciousness. So let's not be afraid. We have to deal with the world, which is rapidly changing, but let's hope we change as rapidly as the world, and even better. My Dandavat Pranam, and looking forward to see you at Russian-speaking class, and I'll try to be quick and consistent. My Dandavat Pranam.